somebody said, how long are you going to be here? I said, I'm going to be here through the winter and even on, if possible, because when you meet people that's been through the struggle, I had a little lady come up and I said, can we do anything special for you? And she said, I don't want to be selfish, but said, could I have a cup of coffee? And I handed her that coffee, and she stood there and tears just poured. She said, you don't realize how important the little things. It's not the big things in life that we have, but it's the little things and knowing that God is our source. I don't look to man, I don't have to have a lot of things. I had trees, about 20 trees down in my yard, but that didn't really matter, doesn't matter, because the needs of the people is what I want to be there for. God is good. He's very good. And my daughter now, her house is really in bad shape, and I'll let her tell you about that. But thank you, President. This is our president. We appreciate you so much.
I live out in the Fairview area of North Carolina and near the Back Cave, Lake Lure area. And our area was hit really hard. I was home alone, and my husband had stayed in town because we take care of a little lady that's 98 years old, and she lives out in the woods by herself. And I said, just stay with her and make sure that she's okay. And I got up the next morning, and my first thought was, I want to go see what our road and bridge looks like. So as I was making it down to the road and the bridge, there was no road and bridge. And so, here we are, we're like at a little island, we can't access the main road or anything. And then the fire department came by the next day and said that they were evacuating me and my neighbor because a landslide was going to come. And they told me to get my stuff and get ready. And so while I was getting my stuff and getting ready, there was a knock at the door, so I thought it was the fireman. And I went to the door, and there stood my 21-year-old son. His name's Nathan, and he had drove as far as he could to get to me, but he hiked 5 miles, and it took him a really long time. And he got there, and he said, Mom, grab a bag, we gotta go. And I said, son, there's no way I can hike out of here. And he's like, no. He said, we gotta go. So we started hiking out, and I seen one of my neighbors who, she had no clothes on. Her skin was like chunked up. It was just, she was blue. She had been in the waters, and where she had went or I don't know, but horrific is just all I can say. But then as me and my son hiked on out, we went through where this place, we call it Craigtown, but there were like a lot of family members there that passed away, like 11 of them, and there were people out everywhere looking for their loved ones, and there were dead bodies. My son's like, Mom, you're gonna see things you don't want to see. And so anyway, we got through all that, but I stayed at our church in our sound booth. My husband and I, we just slept up in the sound booth for a couple of months because we didn't have power or anything for about 2 months out there. And then we went back. I've been fighting with FEMA since day one. Our community, there's like 32 homes. We don't have a road and a bridge. We're driving through our neighbor's property. I went to EMS and I said, look, my concern is if we have a fire or we have an emergency out here, you're not going to get to us. You can't get those big trucks up here. And I've called FEMA, and I said, this happened on September 27th. That's 4 months ago. Well, for us, today is still September 27th. We haven't had help. And so when I talk to FEMA, I'm explaining the road and the bridge, and they send me a letter that tells me to basically fix it and send in my receipts, and they'll refund me some money. I'm looking at a road and bridge that, honestly, the bridge itself is probably going to be $300,000, and the road could be close to that also, because the community has to have big boulders brought in. We're not a rich community. We can't fix it ourselves. It's just, and as far as like house repairs, I'm still pending. I can't get money from FEMA until I fix the road and bridge and send in my my proof that it's fixed and everything. It's just, it's been a nightmare, and I totally feel like that we have been forgotten. If it had not been for our fellow American citizens who stepped up to help us, I don't know what we would have done. I have 5 neighbors around me who completely lost everything. You know, I have damage to my house, and I don't feel entitled. I'm embarrassed to even say I need help, because, you know, and sometimes there's even that survivor's guilt is what they're calling it, but you feel guilty to even be alive sometimes. You know, when you look around, you see your neighbors that are gone, and it's just, you know, we need help. I wrote a letter to send to Congress. You know, I don't understand what's going on. If we can't get FEMA help, then will you guys help us? Will you step up and be our fellow citizen? Will you step up and be our neighbor and send us something? Help us get our community back. I could go on. It's just I don't know, it's just heartbreaking. I appreciate you.
Good daughter you have, huh? Good daughter. Take care of Mom. And your son must be great.
My son is great.
No, he sounds like a real leader and smart.
He really is. To hike
How would you
in,
have been if he didn't come and get you?
I don't know. I'd just would have been there until, because the only thing we could do, there was no way to get out there. The only thing we could do is just hike up to the church, the first church that was up there, about 3 miles, to get, you know, maybe what we needed or something. I don't know. He is. Thank you.
Sounds good. Well, again, thank you very much, everybody. So we're going to be here. We're going to be working with our congressmen and women, and they're going to do a job. And Michael Whatley is going to be very much in charge, and you'll get it done. And FEMA's ready to rock. They haven't done the job because they weren't really told to do the job by Biden. I guess Biden was thinking about other things, wasn't he? But they weren't told. What they did, what the past administration did to North Carolina is a disgrace. So I just want to wish you all well. I was here right after the event, and I couldn't believe it. I have never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of bad things, but I've never seen anything like it. And it's an honor to meet the people behind me, and it's an honor to be with our congressional delegation and some of the other politicians in the area. And it's an honor to have Michael Whatley at my side, because maybe we wouldn't be standing here as president if he wasn't. Him and Laura Trump were unbelievable as the head of the Republican Party. So he happens to come from a place called North Carolina. So I said, Michael, fix it. So good luck. Good luck. And we'll supply what you need. You know that. Okay? Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
These heartbreaking stories and how there's been so many local groups stepped up to assist.
Yeah,
these
that's
families.
one of the things you hear.
Any talk on having money instead of going to FEMA and going through the bureaucracy to go to them?
That's what I want to do. We want to bring it locally so that a state takes care of its problem, and then they can bring it down to a local level, like Samaritan's Purse and Franklin, because that's, you know, one of the better examples. But you had numbers of people that did a great job. You have groups that did a great job and organizations. The one that didn't do a good job was the government. They did a bad job. They did, in many ways, they did no job. They weren't even available. So, good question. The answer is we go local. I think it'll work much better. FEMA is a very expensive organization that really doesn't work out very well. It hasn't. This is not the only example. So it was up to me right now. It ended right now, and I just let the state take care of the problem. I mean, you can always have problems. Let the state. If it's Florida, it's a hurricane. Let Florida take care of it. They don't need FEMA to come in. Yeah.
What sort of role do you envision for Mr. Whatley? Is it within FEMA, outside of FEMA?
Yeah, I envision a very important role for him. It's any role he wants. He's a very capable guy, Michael Whatley. A very capable guy, and he's friends and works with these guys, keeps them elected, right? They have to do a good job, otherwise no matter how good Michael is, not going to work. But they've done an amazing job. They've been great. You're lucky you have great congressmen here, and woman, by the way, a great woman, very powerful woman. And they're going to do a great job. They'll do it together. They'll work together, and we'll supply what they need as they need it. We'll coordinate that, and we will immediately get the Army Corps, Michael, because you need roads built. You know, we're talking about the bridge, we're talking about roads and things, so we got to get them built. All right? Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Hey, President Trump there in Swannonoa, North Carolina, which was devastated so horribly by the rains from Hurricane Helene, listening to personal stories of hardship and grief and pledging that his administration will do everything it can to set things right. You know, Sandra, there are a lot of areas around western North Carolina that look exactly like they did back on September the 26th when that hurricane came roaring through. Nothing has changed.
You got to feel for these people, and what an amazing moment that is for them. Probably very therapeutic even to have the President of the United States, the First Lady there on hand to listen to those personal stories and personal accounts of survival and just how horrific Helene was for them and still is. The future of FEMA obviously is going to be a big question now. We have heard the president say on the record FEMA is not good, talking about the massive amount of funding behind it. But he is talking about possibly a FEMA overhaul, or as you just heard him suggest there, possibly doing away with it altogether. So we'll see what he does. You have to think this is going to have a very significant impact on the president, his visit there today, John.
Certainly, at least in western North Carolina, thinking about withdrawing FEMA and instead putting that money into local organizations like Samaritan's Purse, Wine to Water, and others that we've been covering over these last 4 months who have been doing such a great job in trying to get people back on their feet.